Okay, to start, we're gonna add 600 grams of flour to our bread mixture. And you just check here when it says 600. Take it over here, we'll add some water. Okay, add some water, and when that's done, we're gonna put it in the mixer. This is just flour and water. And what we're doing is we're building up the gluten, okay? So you just have this mixed together, and when it comes nice and solid, let me give you a peek. So, it's gonna be floury like this, and you're waiting for it all to combine and become one solid mass. So, it should only take about a minute before it all comes together. You can see now, it's not sticking to the sides too much, and it's almost done. Okay? I'll pause while it finishes up. Okay, you can see here, it's all about one mass. So let's turn this off. And the trick here is wet your hands, because the dough will not stick to wet hands. So you detach it and just peel off all the dough off your paddle here. And if you feel the dough start sticking to your hands, just wet them again. Okay. Okay. And just, once you just get most of it off, that's good. Okay, you got a little bit left on here. And so we just want to clean off our tool so it doesn't get lots of dough stuck to it. Alright, and then we just have one thing left to do before we let this rest for 15 minutes. And that is to cover it with saran wrap. Line over here. Bring it back. Alright, so cover it with saran wrap. And we'll let it rest for about 15 minutes. Okay, now that the bread is mixed together, we're going to add our salt. I like to add honey and our starter. So since we added 600 grams of flour, we're going to add 12 grams of salt. So I just use table salt, but you can use sea salt or Himalayan or whatever. 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13. Okay, now the one thing is you don't want your starter to touch any salt directly. So I add honey and I try to cover the salt as best I can. Like this. Okay, and then one more thing I do is I'll just take my dough hook, because I'm going to be using that to mix it together in a second, and I just try to get the salt on the bottom or on the side, or just so I get fresh dough on top like this. You can just rest your dough hook like this on the side. Then grab your starter, okay? And we're just gonna scoop in a lot. Basically like about 90% of the starter. Okay. And we're gonna leave about this much. Here, look in here, so. Okay, about 10% left. Okay. And then this goes back on the mixer. And we're going to mix it together for about 5 minutes. We'll come back when it's all mixed together. Okay, when you see it look solid like this, we can stop it. When it's starting to get smooth, we're going to finish this off by hand. So, just like before, wet your hands and slide it off. And now this should be like almost completely clean when you bring it out, because the dough itself will be sticking together. So I'm going to bring it over here. So wet your hands again, because you want the dough not to stick to it. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the stretch and fold technique. So we have the dough here in the bowl, and we're just going to grab a big chunk of it and fold it in half. Then we're going to turn the bowl 90 degrees and do it again. Okay? And we're just grabbing it. So turn again, one more time, or we actually do 2 more times. Grab it, get a big chunk of it, let gravity stretch it out, and you fold it in half. Okay? So you do that 4 times, one for each angle, 90 degrees, so you let it stretch, fold it in half, and then you push it down like a little bit, just like this. You know, your hands should be clean. Wash them before you put water on them. But, you know, after you wet them, they won't be sticky. And then you just cover it with some saran wrap and you let it sit. And then you're going to do that every 15 minutes for about 2 hours. But, you know, that's pretty flexible. You can do it every 30 minutes, every 45. But as you do that, it's going to become more and more together, and it'll get a little bit stiffer. And we'll do that and we'll come back. Okay, stop. So we're coming back after 15 minutes. And what we're going to do is grab the dough again, and you can see it's already starting to come together a little bit more. Okay, fold it in half, turn, fold it in half, turn. You don't need to be gentle. Just let the weight of the dough stretch it out. Okay, and you're going to fold it in half again. You can push down if it's starting to ball up. And one last one. Okay. And fold in half. And you can see here, right here, it's starting to get a little shiny. Nice and smooth and shiny. And that's what we're looking for, okay? We're going to do this probably about 5 or 6 more times. And when you come back, it'll flatten out in the bowl. And then you'll do this, and it'll become more ball-shaped. And as you do it more and more, it's going to start retaining its shape better and better each time. And so after about 2.5 hours and folding it, you know, it'll be a nice stretchy ball of dough. And at that time, we'll shape it, and then we'll let it rise before we put it in the fridge. Okay, see you then. Okay, now that the bread, you've folded it for about 2 hours. It's gonna be hopefully nice and smooth, kind of like this. It'll still move around a little bit. That's okay. And we're just gonna dust the surface right here. And now we're gonna dust or flour our hands so they don't stick. Now, the bottom, the side that's on the bowl of your dough, is going to be wet and sticky. That's what we want, okay? So what we're going to do is get in here. We're just going to pick it up and flip it over so that the stuff that was on the bottom is now on the top, okay? And we're just going to stretch it out a little bit, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to fold, like grab a corner, fold it in the middle, this side, this side, this side, and then the edges too. Okay? And we're going to press that in kind of like a ball here. And then you can let that rest, just cover it with the bowl that you were using. You can let that rest for a few minutes, especially if you have other stuff to get. So what we're gonna need is we're gonna need our proofing basket. So this is like a bowl shape. Okay, there's other shapes too. Get any flowers you need. Get your saran wrap for when you're that you need to cover it with at the end. Okay, so I'm just gonna go. We don't need to let this rest too long, but what that'll do is it'll just like kind of come together. Then what we want is we're gonna flip it over again. Okay, and we don't want too much dough on our workbench, because what we're going to do is we're going to move this dough around, and we're going to try to stretch the outside. Okay. Here, let me let's get a better look at this. Here, hop up there and say, come on, Annie. And what we're going to do is there's two ways you can do this. One, you can either spin it around, tucking it under with your right hand like this. The other way you can do it is you can pull it towards you, and the bottom that's coming at you is going to slide under, and you're just pulling it like this. And then you rotate it and do it again. And this will really start to stretch up here. Okay? And you should be able to see it. You can kind of mix and do both of them. But you should really be able to see it start stretching. And if your hands start getting sticky where your fingers are, you can rub them with the dough, you can get more flour, and really just start to stretch that in. So once you've got a nice tight ball, you're going to want to take your roll, you want to dust this, and you want to dust this. Okay? And the next step is you're going to pick it up and place it in. Okay? And you're going to dust the top of the dough and the sides of the basket. Then we're going to cover it. Just like that. And now we're done with all the kneading that we're going to be doing. So we're just going to let it rest on the counter for about 2 to 3 hours. Then we'll put it in the fridge overnight and we'll bake it in the morning. Okay. Okay. It's the next day. I've taken the bread out of the refrigerator and we're about to put it in the oven. I need a couple things beforehand. I get a full glass of water because I have 2 cast iron pans in the bottom of the oven that I'm going to pour the water into while it's cooking. The next we need is a sharp knife. So this is a lamb, and we're going to score the top of the bread when we put it in. So I'm going to get my gloves on, and we're going to put it in now. All of this is going to go kind of quickly, so I'm going to put the bread in, I'm going to pour the water in, I'm going to put the bread in, and I'm going to score it, then I'm going to pour the water. Okay? Here we go. We flip it onto the pan, just like that. Take our knife. Now we can just score it regularly, like that, or you can do little designs if you want. Okay. You got to make sure that you cut fast, but not too deep. Okay. Put it in. Now, if you can see the pans here, this is where I'm going to pour the water. It's going to make lots of steam. We close up, and I like to bake mine on convection at about 425. Anywhere between 425, 450 is fine. Convection tries to get a better all-around baking. And so we're going to put it in here for about 20 minutes. Then we're going to turn it and do another 20 to 30 minutes. So we'll see you then. Okay, it's been 20 minutes, so let's check the bread. Hopefully we got some nice oven spring. There we go. So you can see, nice and puffy. So if it sticks, you just slide a metal spatula under, loosen it up, and just give it a turn. We'll put it right back in. Now I usually lower the temperature to about 400 here. And we'll see it in 20 minutes. Okay. Alright, it's been about 40 minutes now, so let's check the bread. Oh yeah. So it looks good. One way you can tell is you can knock on the bottom. And if it's done, it should sound hollow. So, this looks good. We got a nice shape. And then we're just gonna put it here and let it rest. Let it rest for about an hour because it will be hot and the inside is gonna continue to cook. Then you can cut it up and enjoy.